So, on today's tech portion of the episode, which, again, being candid, we don't actually have a name for it, but we're going to figure it out. What I wanted to discuss was the, progression of the technology and, at-home recording to the point where you can actually make viable product at home. Because it wasn't always like that. You know, back when I had first started, you pretty much had to go into a studio. That was like the only way to get a recording done that was actually going to be of decent quality if you wanted to do it for real. Like, I recorded stuff on computers, but it was like really, really low quality.
Yeah, my first stuff, before we all threw down for a mixing board, we were recording on like Sound Recorder on Microsoft. You know what I mean?
Like, oh yeah, I remember that shit.
Put the speaker on and then put the microphone between, like, in front of the speaker, and then catch the beat. Like,
it was like the next generation of Violent J's rapping into the fucking karaoke machine.
Yeah, it really was.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
And then, like you said, like, you had to get serious with it and either like get serious studio time invested, where back in the day too, like, early
mixed and mastered at separate studios.
In early 2000s, like, people, it was mostly rock, like, owned local studios. It wasn't like, everybody wasn't a hip hop producer how it is now. You know what I mean? I feel like Pro Tools and GarageBand probably just come standard with a fucking iMac now. You
want to know what? I have come to find out that the Apple is apparently the creative standard for a lot of things. But no, it's just like the fact that not only just computers have gotten better, because obviously computers have gotten a lot better, but the microphones even. Like, this microphone is pretty good, I'm not going to lie. I kind of, I wouldn't say I spared no expense, but I got a pretty good microphone based on what I was led to believe its capabilities are. But with that said, the amount of people that do podcasting and that kind of shit, like the microphone that we have, it doesn't work exactly, but this blue microphone, podcasting microphone, that's like specifically what it's made for.
Yeah.
And just something like that, technically, you can use that microphone and get a better recording product than you could with a microphone that maybe cost $200 back in the day, $200-$300, just because the technology has advanced in such a way where, like, the DAWs are a big thing too, where, like, Pro Tools has first of all been, I don't even know what number we're on right now at this point, but the idea of being able to make beats and being able to just do all of these things just with your computer without having to have a whole bunch of, like, expensive racks and equipment, like, it really is remarkable to me that we are in a time where, I mean, granted, they spent a lot more money, and yes, it's a home setup, but it's still basically professional, is Billie Eilish, apparently. Her and her brother recorded whatever album she got Grammys for. They recorded that from home.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think it's fantastic. It's just a matter of...
It's funny because, like, you talk about microphones and how they've progressed over the years. When we first started and we were recording on soundboards, like analog, it was with live microphones, and I was like, wow, we were so... not on par, but like the analog sound of a live microphone was like almost comparable to a fucking condenser mic. You know what I mean?
Well, no, funny story. I think the homie Loudpacks pointed this out to me, but the wireless microphone that I have, the Shure S5, whatever the fuck number it is, I can never remember, which we use for live recordings, is what Thriller was recorded on. Or something
really?
Like that. Some shit like that. I can't remember exactly. Somebody pointed that out to me. But
because I was watching this, I was reading this article, and it was a company. It was about MF Doom, rest in peace, and he was recording. I think it was Operation Doomsday, like a picture of it, and it's same thing, live microphone. You know what I mean? Not a fancy condenser mic, and it's a raw sounding record. You know what I mean? But like,
see, that's kind of the thing, is that with hip hop, it's always been kind of a different story. Recording like an entire band from home, even though the technology is a lot more like viable and usable, it's still more of like to do. There's a lot more, you got to plug things in, you got to, like, it's a whole more involved process. Rapping, realistically, if you have the beat, like, the recording of it is pretty simple. So I mean, it's just, I think it's funny how that has allowed the music industry to become almost what it is now, where, like, it's easier for people to just do it, period. But at the same time, it creates this level of over-inundation. Not to mention, more so even pay to play, because back in the day, some of the better studios and engineers and whatever, they'd only work with you if they wanted to. They made their money; they didn't need you to. Nowadays, first of all, everybody is pay to play, and second of all, if you have the money, you can just buy all the equipment. Then you're gonna out of the gate have a better sound than most other people, regardless of whether or not you have any skill.
Yeah, there's definitely less gatekeeping in certain regards, and then more gatekeeping on other regards. You know what I mean? And
yeah, it is.
It's like
definitely
digital. It's like digital gatekeeping now.
No, for sure. I mean, it's the not to mention the underground itself is not even really that underground anymore. The only real underground thing about it is the fact that us as artists don't get a level of recognition that some other artists do, like the bigger artists do. Because at a certain point, there are people who would say that Puya is pretty much underground. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because he's not mainstream famous, although he kind of is. My point here, though, is that
that's where I'd say the distinction of independent.
You're right. That's a very good point.
There's definitely...
No, that's a very good point. That's a very good point, because there are some who started underground, remained independent, and have continued to be affluent. Or not affluent, but maybe affluent, well-known. The point being, the industry now is so weird for the fact that Tech said fuck the industry, and he was very effective in what he did with that, but at the same time, it's interesting to me now that the way that they run shit is very industry. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's interesting that it happened that way, but at the same time, I don't think that tech is necessarily industry. You know how they would say tech didn't go industry, the industry went tech.
Yeah.
I can dig that, but at the same time, I think that it really just has become a very different landscape, and I think the technology has a lot to do with that.
Oh, 100%. And even show promotion, I
was just having this debate with somebody. I think it was one of the dudes from Wickedwood. I could be wrong, but where he was saying something about how basically kind of we were having the First Amendment speech, not the First Amendment argument about people being kicked off Twitter or whatever. Yeah. But what I said was I honestly think that shit, because he made some comment about the only what if the only way this guy he basically said, what if the only way to promote a show is flyering parking lots and
no, I think I've seen that interaction.
And then I said to him and it was cool because it was all respectful and he kind of agreed, was I said, I think that the shows probably wouldn't suck as much as they do, the underground ones, if people actually did go flyer parking lots and on the street nowadays.
If people can remember, those bigger shows we had. That was because we were out there, mobbed up, promoting in the street. And
that's the fact is that so many people.
There's a large overhead to it, so people, and that's what separates.
For sure. Well, not to mention, I've also seen where a lot of people think that promoting the show goes no further than sharing a status, making one, or making an event page.
Oh yeah, they're not hitting the local convenience stores and putting up flyers.
They're not trying to get anybody out. Number one, they're not trying to get anybody outside of what is already essentially the dedicated fan base. But beyond that, nobody tries to promote to new fans. I'm saying, they just want to stick to the core. They don't want to bother trying to get out there. And that's the funny thing, because I remember having a conversation with Low-Key about this in Oregon, about how promoting Batty Bat. I don't know exactly what name she goes under. I think that might be it. I just don't know how to pronounce it correctly. But that when they're promoting her shit, which wasn't even that much, and it got a pretty decent presence online with streaming, was you have the ad campaigns run based on these other artists' fan bases. They're like, oh, well, so if you like these people, then you're going to like this, so check it out, because that's what a lot of the paid promotion can be. Mm-hmm. So it's just the technology, too, with the algorithms is another whole different fucking can of worms with Facebook. Facebook, as it used to be, it was way easier, Facebook and Instagram, to actually use it to get out to your fan base. But nowadays, you can have however many thousands of people that are on your page, but if you don't interact with them all directly on a consistent basis, then they're not going to fucking You're not going to hear from them usually. It's usually the same, depending on how many friends you have. There's usually the same 200 or 300 people that are about like in that like that. That's what I've noticed. That even amongst my most popular posts, it's only about 300 likes or so. Somebody like King ISO usually gets like 1,000 or so. Slain usually gets about 3,000. You know, there are tiers to this shit based on your social media following, but. I mean, that's what I mean. The social media as technology and recording, like everything exists in a way now where literally you do not have to have a record label for literally anything.
No.
That's why independent artists are so much more popular now. And that's why when an independent artist does well, they're able to just keep it fucking moving and keep it popping because they aren't beholden to anybody. They don't need to have any, they don't need to satisfy anybody. That's why bands can be like super, super like, crazy in a way where like you can't cancel Suicide Boys not unless they got found out like violently raping somebody and something like that.
3-6 is trying to cancel them.
Well, yeah, but that don't. First of all, that don't count. Second of all, and the reason it doesn't count is because Juicy J did some work with 3-6 first and foremost, and then after that was I'm pretty sure when they made the copyright claim with Suicide Boys. I'm pretty sure they worked together before that happened. My whole thing too is that at a certain point, like. What even is really 3-6 anymore? Because there was DeMafia 6, because that was DJ Paul,
it's Juicy J and DJ Paul. If they're
no,
it's like the Misfits, bro.
No, you're not.
Who's the Misfits?
You're not
Jerry only.
Well, but that's the thing is you're not wrong. But Juicy J and DJ Paul went two very separate ways.
Oh, 100%.
So at that
DJ
point,
Paul went as far underground as you can fucking go. And
that's
Juicy
why I
J's
fucks with DJ Paul super heavy.
I love DJ
I think
Paul.
I'm on a couple of songs with him. So like people put me on songs that he was on, but fucking
that's fucking awesome, dude.
No, there's the homie Nasty, I'm pretty sure, put me on a track with him. I don't know if he ever actually got the verse done or not. I think he did. But I always forget shit like this. Like the Replicon Award last year, like I did win that, but I completely forgot. I was like, did I win this? I mean, Dead Leaves was pretty good, so and I've had the thing on my fucking mantle the whole year.
To tie it back in, that's what's beautiful though, because like sites like that like only propel everybody even further and get more exposure.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day,
big shouts to Replicon Radio. Love those guys.
Replicon, you know, Fago lovers.
Scotty D.
Back in the day, right there. It was undergroundhiphop.com. I don't know if that still is.
No, they're not a store anymore either, which is sad because they had really dope shit.
Yeah, they had fly shit. But
I used to live right up the block from their location
from
in Boston.
Their storefront. That's
like literally, if buildings weren't in the way, I probably could have seen it from my front porch.
Wow, that's so dope. But yeah, like technology definitely allowed these companies to bloom and then fall because they didn't. Because it's lightning fast the way this goes. You know?
Dude, technology was.
They had a brick. By the time underground hip hop like got a brick and mortar, everything was already like shifting to digital anyways. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really that's the blessing and the curse of this technology and with this scene, you know.
I've told this story before in different places, but here's a good one for it. When I got flown out to Michigan to work with Violent J, when he heard my shit, again, technology, beginning of the internet, beginning of internet radio, Hatchet Radio, they play Hell's Pit so the juggalos that can't afford it can still hear it, and then fucking they know that Jay is listening, so they play one of my songs, he likes it. We get in touch through the internet, instant messaging, and then fucking phone. Yeah. And then I go out there, and it was, I mean, the whole experience was crazy, but the idea of technology was what introduced me. Like, that was the only way that he would have ever heard my shit. No, if somebody passed him a CD, he wouldn't have fucking cared about it. Mm-hmm. That never would have happened. But he happened to listen to it when it happens this way, and then, but no, this was the story. When I flew out there, fucking... we were chilling in his kitchen smoking weed, and he was telling me about, you know, all different kinds of shit. But one of the things that he said that really stuck out was when they started, one of the things that they could get for promotional purposes was you could get this big, thick book of record stores across the country. Like every record store that was on file, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was big when they started. And then this was in 2004, by the way. So that's 16 years ago. He was saying to me, we bought it this year just for fun, and it's this big. Like, not even 3 inches thick.
Wow.
Like, it was tiny, because everything was already... And this, by the way, remember, was in the very beginning of the digital, because of CDs and shit, because it was mostly CDs at that point. MP3s and iPods, I think, were like, they had just started. Mm. So at that point... it was like they first of all knew that it was coming. That's why I always give credit to ICP. They've always somehow found a way to be ahead of the curve. But beyond that, just the idea of in 2004, it was already moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Where we were going away from physical and in towards digital. Because that's basically what CD was less physical matter and more audible music on it. Because now you look at it, a CD can only have so much. Look at an iPod. How many gigs can you put into an iPod? You can have every song you've ever heard, ever, if it's an MP3 practically, on one device.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that practically. So at that point, it's just the idea that technology moved so quickly. It really was a perfect storm where some people have taken advantage of it. I mean, that's how Odd Future got big to start with. That's how a bunch of different people have gone viral.
Chance the Rapper, man.
Oh, there you have it. Yeah, SoundCloud and shit.
You know?
So, I mean, I think SoundCloud is another one. Just the ability to freely access music that's just different, that you didn't have to go through a label, or you didn't have to go through the radio or a record store. It's just, you heard it. And so because they can put it out that way, you don't have to have any filters. You can say and do whatever you want. Although at the same time, and it's funny because if my kids can hear this, they're going to chuckle, but I looked it up once on Spotify, and I can't remember if I was just feeling bold and I let them see it, or if they accidentally saw it. But, like, the band Anal Cunt has been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. You know, Dead Body Dan was an anal cunt at one point?
Shut the fuck up. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was like a guitarist for them.
But it's like, if you look at the song titles, first of all, they're a noise band, but if you look at the song titles of the crazy shit that they were saying, it's not like you couldn't independently make music back then. It just cost way more money and time.
Yeah.
Getting into a studio was a little bit of a different story. So, but at the same time, like, again, Gigi Allen has been, I think it was American Dad or Family Guy made a joke where they were doing something and they said like, and there was in the 70s, we had to make room for or either the 60s or the 70s, had to make room for the next big thing. And then it's got people dancing like this, and then Gigi Allen screaming, "Kill the Pope! Kill the Pope!" Like, which Gigi Allen, I mean, to me, has always been like the bar standard for like offensive music.
Oh, 100%,
you know what I mean?
dude.
I don't know that there was a CKY video.
That's how I got exposed to him.
One of the CKY gigs pisses on his grave. Yeah, that shit was great.
And then they're playing "Sluts in the City" in the background, and then that was the first Gigi Allen song that I.
Ron was the one who really put me on to like who Gigi Allen was.
What a surprise!
You know? Yeah, right.
Well, that's how we became.
That is
like,
definitely
good
somebody who we need to get on an episode at some point.
It's funny because I was thinking about that too, because he's been like a PA.
I was about to say he's worked with so many different people. He really has a good perspective.
Who's
on
the
shit.
worst politician that you?
Not to mention he'll tell us. He'll say it straight the fuck out. I saw a picture of him with Hillary Clinton, and he was like, "Park out loud," where he was like, I think I made it clear that I was not happy to be in this picture. Like, oh man, that's another thing too. Just social media as technology, the fact that it's become so ubiquitous, like. People get famous from social media pretty quickly nowadays. Like, becoming famous overnight is almost really a thing.
It's like a standard now.
Well, because you can go viral and then be famous the next day. So, I mean, shit, it can happen.
So many people that are famous that I don't even know, because it's like everything's so...
I used to think that I was like a little bit on the cutting edge because I don't pay attention to a ton of shit, but I see like what's popular. I read stuff. I see what's around. But like my kids will say names of people I have never fucking heard of, and I'm just like, I thought that I wasn't all the way back.
I'm hip.
I'm with it. I'm hip. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the Simpson syndrome. I used to be with it, and then they changed what it was. Now what is it I find to be scary and uncomfortable. It'll happen to you. Oh my God. It's insanely true. So you want to know what? I think for right now, because again, I think we've had a pretty good discourse on what, like...
the impact of
technology as far as like the underground hip. You know what I mean? Because anything could be said about just the additional fidelity and audio quality. Mm-hmm. Like, things are really high quality now, so that's different. And there's all other kinds of stuff. But in the underground, I just think that it's really important to mention the idea that technology, as far as things like, first of all, the horrorcore forums, and then Facebook, and the Gathering of the Juggalos message board, all those different things, Juggalo Central. And then on top of that, right around then was when the revolution started to happen as far as computer technology changing, where we could do at-home recording, and it actually sounded like decent.
Yeah,
That wasn't always a thing.
It didn't sound like karaoke machine forever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm thinking that as the technology continues to improve, I think that especially with things like video and graphics, as that starts to become a little bit easier and more accessible, even more of a revolution will continue to happen as far as homebrewed music. But all right, so loving that. Let's keep it on moving. And
You had a lighter?
I think I do. So.
Oh, my
he's
man.
got one. Well, so all right, I took a pause in between there so that we can stop it or like edit it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But well, because we don't need to stop. We can just keep going. But so now this portion of the program is pretty much my favorite, where we just kind of get high and talk about high shit. Hypothetical. Oh shit. Did I just fucking come up with a name for the segment in the middle of the segment? Inception. Highception. Whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I think that the impact of marijuana and the legalization movement throughout the 90s definitely was a big undercurrent of all underground hip-hop.
Oh, you want to know what? True indeed. That is my bad. So we're still going to use that hypotheticals. That's fucking happening.
We got to get high first before we can do the hypothetical.
Fucking happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that this is also a good moment to discuss cannabis shit because we just rolled some of it. But you want to know what? That is definitely something that I wanted to talk about because more so than even just underground hip hop, because yeah, that was a part of it. Like underground hip hop, which was also a little bit less prevalent in that time, but hip hop in general.
Oh, dude, Cottonmouth Kings, what are you talking about?
Well, okay, you know what? Very fair. But what I mean to say more so is just that, like, on the level of, like, Cypress Hill, Bone Thugs and Harmony, a lot of different rappers from that time period, like, popularizing the idea of smoking weed.
Redman.
And it just, obviously. Like, making it look basically so that smoking pot was not this really crazy, like, oh my God, they smoked the fucking reefer. Like, it was always a very kind of low-key, like, oh yeah, we just fucking just smoke this while we're drinking, and we just have a good time, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to, like...
Hip-hop made it look way more on the level of alcohol, whereas, like, psychedelic rock and things like that, it had it on this pedestal of it's, like, this supreme, more trippy, abstract thing, where, like, hip-hop, it's like, yo, we're smoking blunts, and we're having 40s. With, like, hippies, it's like... We're like communing with the flower of the you know what I mean? Like, so obviously that's gonna fucking.
Nah, you're not. You know what?
Like,
you're not
put
wrong.
The substance
well,
in
but
a
see,
different
and that's
space,
the other thing.
You know,
because music just generally, that's kind of the thing. They've been talking about, smoking pot forever in music. You know, these fucking
I know
and all that shit.
Jazz,
but I feel like
jazz musicians back in the day.
But I also I personally feel like, hip hop really took the last big step in just.
Did you see the Grass is Greener documentary on Netflix? If you haven't, you should watch it like tonight, dude. It's fucking fire.
I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with it.
It talks about the relationship of marijuana and like jazz music, and then it follows it all the way up to modern like hip hop culture and shit. And it really is like it's.
I think it's always been music though, because if you look at a lot of like
even
the metal musicians and shit. Metal musicians love to fucking smoke. They just didn't talk about it.
It's definitely music, but like as far as like permeating the culture and shit, a lot of it was black music. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
for
it was,
sure.
Like
no question. Which not for nothing. That's always been a really fucked up double standard in this country where comedian John Mulaney talks about it, where he's talking about how pot's legal in so many places. And he's like, oh, well, don't applaud too loud if you're white. There was never illegal for us, sir.
Yeah.
Like, when I got arrested with a one-hitter at a Rusted Root concert, I didn't do hard time. I think they gave me an award. Yeah. Like, I actually one time got stopped with pot in the car. And, I ended up getting in trouble, but I didn't go to jail. And a lot of black kids in the exact same situation would be in the fucking jailhouse by the end of the day.
100%.
Like, there's a tweet that says... it's gone viral, I'm sure. But it says, when the dispensary looks like the Apple Store, a lot of people need to come out of prison.
Yeah.
Chicago started that, though, where they expunged, like, a ton of arrest records and convictions, marijuana convictions. So some places are going in that direction, and they are kind of like recognizing that the war on drugs, as far as marijuana was concerned anyway, was egregious and unnecessary. But if you know what I mean, it comes in degrees. I can remember like a Hemp Fest was a thing out here where
it's still
we
a
were
thing,
really
baby.
trying to. Well, no, true indeed,
And
but
it's
just
the Freedom Rally, motherfucker.
Freedom
all right, fair enough.
The
But
Boston Freedom Rally.
You go to
Alright.
Seattle for that Hemp Fest shit.
is that how that works?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm just playing, but seriously.
no,
it's
but
the
I
Freedom
was
Rally.
well. No, my thing was
But everybody and their mother calls it Hemp Fest. So
I had
it's all
only
good.
gone a couple of times, and the one time that we played with Hightown, that was
Fats was up there rolling blunts and shit. It was legendary.
it was pretty cool.
Hey, is there a ashtray, or are we just
Yeah, you just
these
ash
people?
on top of that. Yeah, I'm not very good at.
Tell you
keeping
what, this is
ashtrays
50
around.
funny names coming at you saying that there is a lack of ashtrays in this motherfucker. So send ashtrays.
Yeah, for real.
Send your ashtrays.
As many as possible, so that we can just leave them in every room of the house. That's basically what needs to happen. But no, because you want to know whatever. Who cares? I'll sweep. I don't give a shit.
1989 was the first rally.
All right, I can see that.
89, baby.
It's such a funny
That's
thing.
ill.
I remember when I was a kid, my father had this shirt that said Dutch Treat or Dutch something Seed Company Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's Dutch Treat. That's a ill
I
seed
never
company.
knew. I never knew what it was until I ended up running into a guy years later. I was like, my dad always wore that shirt. And I was like, oh, wow, your dad must have smoked some fucking weed then, because
Yeah.
this came from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And it's true, because my father
Probably got it from a coffee shop.
Oh, no, he went.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, because that was back in the day, back in the 70s. If you wanted to smoke pot and not have to be fucking paranoid about it, then you would go to Amsterdam if you had the money, because that's always where they were always real chill about it.
My parents would go to the Blue Hills.
Oh, yeah, right? Go off into the woods. Sounds about right. But, no, I can remember, like, when it was on the ballot, for sure, I voted for it, but I can also even
Every
remember-
year. It's why I registered to vote. You know what's funny is the whole reason why they got me in 2008 with the decriminalization, because I remember I was walking out of a Stop and Shop, and there was like this table, and they had pot leaves and everything, and you know weed was still illegal, and they were like, "Hey, you want to legalize marijuana?" And I was like,
Yes.
Yeah. So then they hand me a thing like, "All right, well you got to register to vote first." And then I was like, all right, and I signed the thing, I give it to him, and then a couple months later, I get this thing in the mail, and it's like, you have to refill out your voter registration form, because I put my date of birth as the current date, because I was high filling out this form.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah,
I was actually living in Colorado, in Denver, when I-90 passed, which I guarantee if you look it up, you do the history, that was the first initiative on the ballot anywhere in the country to decriminalize marijuana at a legal level.
No, I think because Portland in Maine, Maine's had it since like '99. You could look it up. It's been like low key. Let me see how long.
Oh,
that
okay.
is.
Well, so you want to know
Even
what?
though
Maybe
my
it
phone-
was just because the way that it had been done in Denver, they made it
Maine's
seem like it was
gangsta
going.
because they just did
no,
it.
Maine is gangster. Yeah, you want to know how Maine is gangster? Yeah, pot's legal in our state, but you can't fucking bring it in, and you can't buy it anywhere here yet. We don't have any recreational.
Maine?
Yep.
Maine
I've
has
seen
a-
it.
I think
no, dude,
breakfast-
I
think
they
it-
do, but that's the point. They have nowhere you can buy it. I saw when I went out to Maine this summer
Well, it
with my
takes a
family.
while, just like how like.
Well, look, fair enough, but
because
it's just.
when did it pass the law?
Oh, I don't even remember
'Cause I
exactly.
think
It's
it-
been-
I think
I don't
rec-
think it was this year. I think it's been a while.
I think Maine recreational passed. Let me look.
Well, no, see,
'Cause
they
I think Maine
just,
recreational just passed this past year.
I thought that it happened sometime before then, but
Well,
I mean that part of it isn't even as important. The only point that I wanted to make was just that so long ago, the idea. of
2016, they legalized recreational.
Well, yeah,
use.
but that means that they legalized it the same year Massachusetts did,
yeah, they did
because they legalized it during the election.
Yeah, but it took till 2018 for the first adult dispensary to open up.
Well, but that's kind of
it takes so because like
well,
with-
that's kind of well,
with
no, in
Massa-
Massachusetts, I know that's how it worked.
Well,
But in
most-
Maine, I don't. That's what I'm saying. When I went to Maine, I saw alerts where basically it was saying, "Know the laws, where you're not allowed to bring it in, you're not allowed to take it out, you're not allowed to buy it here yet."
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, it's legal, but it's like, it's not.
I know a bunch of people that go up there and get the shit, you know.
Well, no,
I
of
remember
course, because if you, I mean, that's the thing. There's so much land out there, and there's so much people, like, people don't bother you out there. There's like fucking 5 cops in the whole town anyway. As long as it's not right out in the open, they ain't gonna fucking bug you.
I remember we played a festival out in the, like, it was called, like, Hominy Field or something like that, and, like, in the township, it was like Andy Griffith, bro. We rolled by a house, and there was like a billboard on the front lawn that said Sheriff, you know, fucko, and it said fucking like a number to call.
Oh,
that was the cops. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was dope, dude. And they talked about how they legalized marijuana in their little town in Maine, like back in like the 60s or 70s. They just kind of decided it as a township, and then just like went about
well,
because
you want to know what the whole thing too is that you have to figure with smaller towns, the government's really only coming in for a few things. What? Collecting taxes, and basically if you ask them for anything as far as like resources or whatever. But why is the fucking government going to be sending anybody out here? I mean, nowadays you can communicate easier because of the internet, but like really, what does the government have to do with a tiny town like that? So if the cops all just unanimously are like, yep, so we're not going to bust anybody for smoking pot? All right, rock and roll. All right, so off we go.
That's
like,
it, and that's basically what happened.
Dude, in Colorado, before it got fucking legalized, I'll never forget, you could just walk around smoking like it was nothing. Nobody fucking cared.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was just kind of like legalization made sense because no one gave a shit. Like, it was just like... we recognize that this doesn't do anything to anybody.
So, do you think that like groups like Cottonmouth Kings did anything to help
yeah.
that?
Oh no! First of all, absolutely.
Because they did, even if it was just for their aesthetic, they did the work and they went to the rallies.
Please, please don't get me wrong. No, Cottonmouth Kings were absolutely instrumental in the eventual push.
Rest in peace, Saint Dog.
Well, yeah, but see, that's the problem.
What a year!
Saint
2021
was.
2020,
Pocket Lika, rest in peace.
Yeah,
My whole thing is this, bro. With the Cottonmouth Kings, I don't even know the full story of it, but based on some of the things that I know,
need to know.
Well, but this is my
I am
point.
a Cottonmouth King.
Based on the what I had seen of it and just the way everything unfolded, it was really sad, as down with them as I was, because Cottonmouth Kings was actually one of the first things that I found.
One of my favorite groups as a kid, man.
On my way into Juggaloism.
Yeah.
But it was so sad to see that curtain fall.
Yeah.
And find out what it really was for that crew. You know what I mean?
I love the fucking tea on those motherfuckers, though. I'm so petty. I'm not gonna lie.
But that's kind of my point. Just the fact that it turned into what it turned into what it is now, and you come to find out how much of the unity and how much of the family it was just not really like that.
And you know what? Nothing for nothing. Like everybody, like kind of shit on Richter at first because he had the first heroin problem in the group, but he was the one who was espousing the most facts. Of what was happening.
He's always been very straight up,
and everybody ostracized him for it. He was the first one out of the group, and then he was mad because like nobody went to Pac's funeral, and you know, like
that's fucking insane.
He was keeping it real. I like John Richter,
shit. No, and you want to know what? No, I fuck with Richter on that real ass shit. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's crazy to think.
I hope he's all right. Honestly, he's
facts, man. I mean, my thing is that like just the West Coast culture of what they had going on was just like, it was just like, it's proof of how big it got for the fact that they took it to a worldwide level, but it was just like a bigger version of kind of like some of the regional shit that we had here. Because they had in California just a ton of fucking homies and fans who would come to the shows, and because this was where you could find weed. And so it just became this huge thing. But then as time goes by and the realness and, you know, the reality of people's lives, it just, you know, fucking keeping it together, keeping a band together of any sort is not some easy shit to do.
Did you have, you know, the story about how they were supposed to be on Psychopathic and shit? Like,
well, no, first of all, I mean, if you read Behind the Paint, Jay...
There's so many scarce stories, though. Like, because Jay says that story, and then other people say that, like, other people being, like...
Well, no, I was just going to say that he was... No, I was just going to say that Humble Gods worked with ICP early on, and then that's why there was a relationship, and then they started working together like they did. My thing is, I
they're
remember
on the mutilation mix. Remember they're like shit faced on like a phone call or whatever.
Bro, I remember when Twisted and KMK were supposed to do the Stone in the Cemetery tour.
Didn't they inevitably do that?
No, do you want to know what?
Like 10 years later though. Didn't they do this?
They may have done some.
Remember
shit
the beef?
Well, that's my point.
Oh,
that
my
was as far
God.
as I know how that started. Where Stoned in the Cemetery was supposed to be, because Twisted did tracks about weed, which that put them on that level.
Yeah.
And then KMK did what they did. And so when they collaborated on that shit, it was basically like, again, it fell apart was my point. I'm pretty sure that was where the beef started, was the Stone in the Cemetery tour happened or didn't happen. And then because of it breaking down, there was a problem. But I will also say, considering they didn't actually outright say it at first, but like Hollywood I'm Coming is definitely one of the best fucking diss tracks.
Oh
ever.
fuck yeah,
Like,
dude! And that was an era.
And
where
why you wanna so don't worry, don't hate on, get the fuck out of here.
Listen, the Chaos and Chronic tour did happen.
Oh, it did. There we go.
2012.
There
but
it
like
is.
this was like 7 years after it was.
I remember going
a
to that
good
one,
idea.
but see, this is what I'm gonna say. I think because I remember seeing them, and I'll never forget it. Because I saw Cottonmouth Kings in 2003 at the Gathering, like where literally I remember the one main thing about the show of them screaming at the end, "Marijuana, marijuana, legalize." So even back in 2003, they were on that.
Oh yeah.
But so,
I mean, in the 90s they were 95, 96.
which not to mention, they even had a fucking song on Drew Barrymore movie.
Scream.
Suburban Life
Yeah.
ain't what it said. No, they weren't in that one. Maybe they were on the end of the soundtrack. I didn't know about that.
What movie?
I can't remember. Again, it was a Drew Barrymore movie where she was actually the star of it. Where it was like when they roll up to the school or something, they're bumping Suburban Life or something like that.
I thought that
A
was...
Dog's Life is another one that was. That
Dog's
got
Life
pretty
was
popular.
in Lost and Found with David Spade and who's that wild motherfucker? Artie Lang. And yo, that's a wild movie. Artie Lang and David
Artie
Spade,
Lang.
David
Yeah,
Spade
because they were
steal
trying
a dog
to. They were
and
trying to
Cottonmouth Kings
find
on the soundtrack.
They were trying to find David Spade's next Chris Farley.
Yeah, I
Didn't
know.
work out.
Sad. They're like, all right, listen, we have the script and we already got the whole thing financed. So
Yeah, really, right?
it's
Like,
you
oh
know,
my God.
keep it
How
moving.
sad. There, but for the grace of God, go David Spade. It's because, like, David Spade is still a great actor. I still
He's
love
funny,
his
dude.
shit. No, I love
He's a
David
great
Spade.
pundit.
He's one of my favorites. But at the same time, he was, you have to figure, especially when it happened, Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. Black Sheep, not as much as Tommy Boy, but Tommy Boy was huge.
Oh, both of them.
So Black Sheep was, right? See, I don't remember it being a big success, but it's an awesome
They
movie.
were both huge. I remember Tommy Boy came out first, blew it out of the water, and then Black Sheep I remember seeing in theaters too. And
Tommy Boy I saw in theater for sure.
yeah, and definitely was huge. And Chris Farley was like definitely our generation's like John Belushi. 'cause
Oh
he
yeah, see, I was gonna. Yeah, I
everywhere.
mean, we want to talk about
Beverly
weed.
Hills Ninja.
Weed would have been the
Almost Heroes.
Weed would have been the fucking most tame thing that dude ever touched.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He fucking got it in.
Yeah.
But like, it's pretty crazy to me how now, like, marijuana culture has become what it is, and obviously marijuana culture is going to go directly side by side with music.
Yeah.
Marijuana and music have always been intertwined. So I think that's actually interesting for the fact that as time went by, just more and more people got comfortable with the fact that, like, pot is just a thing.
Yeah.
It's not some, like, insane demon weed that's gonna make you go crash your car. It's just gonna make you chill out.
Yeah.
And then do shit like that because you get all the phlegm in your throat.
Yeah.
I remember I always used to worry that at certain jobs where I would smoke on lunch, they were going to notice because as soon as I came back in, every couple of minutes, hello, this is company. How do I help you? Just all day because you get the phlegm.
Oh yeah.
Fucking-
The chronic 19 cough is what I call it.
Chronic 19. I am not coughing because of COVID.
Yeah.
Fucking, oh my lord. I would say that we have gotten good and toasty. So, what do you say we break into some of those hypotheticals?
Well, yeah, the thing is, my hypotheticals are really twisted, and it doesn't really have anything to do with underground music. So that's why I
Well,
like it.
I think that the hypotheticals that we can, first of all, we could take it to that level another time.
That's all I think about.
Well, but this is my point: is that in this situation, we may have hypotheticals like, who would you want to see make some horrorcore music? People that you'd like to see work together that haven't.
Like to see Gary Busey and Steve Buscemi do a collab album about being Ed Gein and his dead mother. And Gary
Wow.
Busey can be the mother, and then
Gary
Steve
Busey
Buscemi
probably
can
would
be
do
Ed
that
Gein.
part pretty well.
Yeah, because Steve Buscemi is old enough now too, where he would like.
He does kind of have the look too.
Yeah, like because he's
that-
got the
that-
cords in his neck and he's old, you know.
that far off stare.
Yeah,
With the.
he's a little more skinnier than I'd
Yeah,
like. But...
no, true indeed.
No, what was the question for real?
No, just like who are people in horrorcore or underground rap or whatever that you'd like to see work together that you haven't seen?
Brother Lynch Hung and Necro.
I was expecting, because Brother Lynch Hung was the first name that goes into my head when you think about horrorcore music. Quite honestly,
Just because imagine Necro making an old school West Coast beat. You know what I mean? Like, cause I don't know if you heard any
Necro
of
was
it.
unexpectedly cool as fuck when I met him.
I love
did not-
Necro.
I know,
he
no,
called
dude.
me a sick fuck, and it was like the highlight of
Oh,
my
are you
life.
kidding me?
It was
That
the
would
highlight
be
of my
like,
life.
ha,
If you know-
ha,
if you know who I am
The
as a
Godfather of
person.
Sick is telling you that you're sick as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Because I said I'd have sex with Nicki Minaj and give her a noogie on her bald head.
that's fantastic.
Dead Dave's my witness for that.
I believe that. No,
yeah,
Necro was
Necro-
always
Necro
he
and
was
Brother
one of
Lynch
my
Hung.
first introductions to like the idea of doing horrorcore in a way where you were actually lyrical. Dead Body Disposal to this day is one of the best tracks ever done. And if you listen
you
to
seen
it,
the videos that he put out? Like,
oh, I can only
he
imagine.
put out like a lot of post whatever I'm trying to say.
Posthumous.
Yes, videos off of Prefix for Death and shit like that, and they're fire, dude.
Oh, I actually, you know what? I would have to check.
You have to go check them out.
I'd have
like,
to check that out.
after
I
this.
do remember seeing for a time that he was doing a bunch of videos. Like the one that I remember he did that was fire was the Human Traffic King.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like, bro, that's kind of my thing. Where again, like when I met him, it was funny because when he shook my hand, just the way that he shook my hand, it was very hard, and like the nail kind of dug in a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. That feels like a very Necro thing to happen.
Yeah.
Like inadvertently, I'm not gonna hurt you
He's
with my
that
hand.
dude. He's that dude.
Well, but this is my point.
Every
he was
day of the
really,
week.
really fucking cool and
Yeah.
really like personable.
He's just intense.
And
He's just
that's-
in
and you wanna
every
know
way.
what?
He's intensely nice. He's intensely mean.
Fair enough. You
You
want to know what? Rest in peace to the man. I also got to meet the kid Joe. I feel very
Yeah, he
blessed
was
to have gotten to
crazy.
meet. He was definitely that was he was a big part of the live show where they brought him on
In a
and
roach
fucking
costume.
make him do the laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, like. To me, and especially when you look at those guys, like that's a different thing. Where again, in the hood, they've been smoking weed since fucking whenever,
Yeah.
since forever.
Since the 80s.
They're
Yeah.
just like, whatever, we're gonna do what we do.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, but I guess whatever my point even was.
We're talking about collabs.
No, that's
motherfucker.
right. No, well, hey, hypotheticals. But no, in any case, no, because you want to know what? Frankly, if you could get a fucking Brother Lynch album. Like a Brother Lynch and even just one song, but like, oh yeah, that would be. I wonder.
I really only know his Manable series, like the shit that he
Oh,
did
no,
on
you want to
Strange, and
see-
I know like the old hits like 24 Deep and Rest in Piss and.
See, I was gonna say, I
I
remember.
just don't know like albums.
I-
from back in the day
Season
like
of
that,
the
but everything I
Sickness-
heard is beautiful.
Season of the Sickness was dope. My thing is first of all, oh
Is
yeah,
that what has 24 Deep and all that shit on it?
that's the one.
Okay.
The first song that I ever heard, ironically, because it's not even like as much of a song as it is kind of like an interlude, but it's 40 ounces of the liquor, 16 in the clip, crumble the herb, roll the spliff, time to make your brain split, 40 ounces. And it's like, they just keep doing that, and then just the beat kind of changes, and then fucking, you hear like guns clacking in the fucking, to the rhythm, like,
Yeah.
so fucking dope.
Yeah.
Like, but here's the thing, everything that I've ever seen or heard about Brother Lynch really, to me, adds to the mythos of what he is, because especially if you really like, if you listen to the Man of Electra trilogy,
Did he really eat somebody? Because it seems like he
that's
did.
kind of my fucking point.
I know.
Like,
We're dancing
it's
around
so,
it, but
it's
I think
so
he actually
well
ate
done.
somebody.
It's so well done.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing.
You know,
I don't
man.
know if he adopted it on purpose or if there is just some kind of demon in Sacramento that happens to fucking inhabit people and do these things. But I would assume not long before he was born. Because I have to look at exactly when he was born, or maybe he was alive when it was happening. I can't remember how old he is. But Richard Trenton Chase, because he's from Sacramento,
Richard
Sacktown.
Trace is fucking crazy.
And that's my point, because if you listen to Brother Lynch's music, it's very Richard Chase, very schizophrenic, very cannibal, very because that was Richard Chase's whole thing, was just
he did
eating
foul
people and
shit, man.
Oh, holy shit! And so at that, there's when
do a Richard Chase Christmas special.
When Time Suck finally did an episode on him, I'd been waiting for so long for him to do it. Again, it's cartoonish the level that the shit that he did. But that's my point. Is that I wonder if he was just aware of that story, and then but he's also super hood as fuck. Like gang deep bout it. Crip, gang bang.
That's why him and Necro would be fucking fire, dude. That's why that would be my dream underground collab.
And you want to see at this point, I almost have to feel like now I have to really, really think hard about this.
I figure you would go down and then perpendicular and do fucking Scum and somebody.
Well, you want to know what? See, I super fucks with Scum, but I don't happen to listen to a ton of his music. I'm not super familiar with it. Mm-hmm. I have heard a good amount based on having done a ton of shows with him, and just in passing, I do hear his music. Where I will say this, he has gotten infinitely better from when I first heard the first song that I ever heard him do, way, way, way back when, and then the more recent shit, where even more so, when I did Where the Wild Things Are, I haven't learned his verse on fucking March of the Undead, which in most cases, if I'm rapping with you, I can learn your verse. I can usually put it down. But he spits so fast and so hard on that shit that I have still, there was a time where I said, do you want to do it live? And he was like, well, we would actually have to learn it. You know what I mean? And so to this point, we still haven't done that. I probably should holler at him about that, so we can do that at some point.
So, all right, let me frame it for you more. What's your dream underground? Well, that's what I'm saying.
I feel like I have to. I would have to
to
really, really think about it in the sense of who I really fuck with. That some shit where I think it would be really good. That's so tricky.
I'll give you. How about?
Well, no, because I'll tell you right now on some real shit, and I don't say this for any reason other than I genuinely fuck with their music. But Zool.
I was just gonna say them and somebody.
And it's it's tricky because when you've seen them work with the track that they did with fucking Insane Poetry was fucking ridiculous.
No, I didn't.
No, I get that a lot of people.
I like their whole thing. What I'm trying to say is I slept on them for a while. Right. And then I was like, wow, these guys are really good.
I found out about them right before I met them at the 2016 gathering.
You know who told me about them for years was OLC. They were like, you would love these fucking guys.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually didn't know that.
Oh, they fucking, What's his name?
They probably, I would
think
assume
Billy's on P. Crack's shelved fucking...
Oh,
I don't know if he's on it, but I remember they were talking with each other about working and whatever. Right. But that's how I knew about Axe. But who would you like to have them on?
You want to know what? With? Between that, I would say probably them and... Oh, this really is tricky. Because part of me wants to say Q Strange. Because
that would be ill.
Well, see, again, that's old school horrorcore.
I honestly started listening to him again because Chuck's doing his thing with that, and then I don't know.
Is that actually still a thing? Because I thought I just read something where him and D-Rock aren't even cool no more.
Nah, what happened? I don't know if you.
I don't.
On the mic, but I'll tell you all about that situation off the mic.
Fair enough.
But to talk as Q Strange as an entity, he was a big influence as a kid. You know what I mean? And I think what about Q Strange and Insane Poetry?
That you want to know
might
what
even happened, honestly.
Yeah, right? That would be pretty cool. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, again, I think.
Well, you saying Axe and Q Strange?
Zool and Q
Strange? That
Strange
would be wild.
I think that would, because that's what I'm saying. Part of me wants to say that because I think that he's got that kind of just raw underground East Coast sound.
Yeah.
Because Zool's got that in spades. They can rap like different tempo and they can do like some choppy kind of shit, but for the most part, Zool is just East Coast, all fucking like bars all day.
Nah, I like them.
And that to me is
and their
like
production is so fucking
oh yeah.
dope.
The guy that they got to do their most recent one, Slashing Dave,
it's
is
nuts.
Oh yeah,
that one that's about being a zombie or whatever, taking a bite, taking your life, whatever the fuck
oh
it is.
right, okay.
Taste your brains.
Oh, oh my
that
God.
shit, that
I
80s, that 80s.
I haven't listened to it in a little bit, but when I listened to
that
it,
shit is fire.
the main thing that I thought was really good was the fact that it just had a really solid horror aesthetic.
It's an 80s horror movie.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
It just they did, and that's what I mean. They did.
That's why
that
I like those. They hold
so well.
Those guys hold a theme over an album so fucking nasty, from like the cover, the lettering on the cover to every fucking syllable.
And you know what the
every
funny?
snare,
It's so ironic to me.
You can't if you hate on them. I don't know what to tell you. I know there's a lot of people out there.
No, there are a
fuck
lot of
with,
people
but,
that
like,
basically they don't want to be the because it's like it's cool not to like
and I
them
get it.
because
I get that. I've been there.
Oh yeah,
you
no,
know,
for
just
sure.
you don't have to hate yourself.
No, I know you ain't got a lot to kick it. My whole deal is that I just like the way that it's so ironic to me because you want to know why they're so good at what they do, and I think they would even probably agree. And I'm not going to say this is a straight up why it is. This is what I believe. I think why I believe they're so good at what they do. They are juggalo through and through.
No, it's a juggalo product for juggalos,
and
and they follow the golden rule where they don't really talk about it ever, and that's the golden rule for any juggalo aspiring rappers out there. That's the golden rule.
There has to be
good and don't fucking shout the shit out every 2 seconds, and you'll get way more respect.
Well, see,
than you
to me,
realize.
it's not even just that. What I mean is more along the lines of like they like just recognized what about that whole process worked and what didn't. And they basically decided, because again, if you listen to them and the way that they can rap, they could do any kind of fucking music that they want. They want to do super wicked, blasphemous underground rap. And so that's what they do.
It's tight.
And that's what I mean. I think that that's like, first of all, I think if Too Strange, if they were to do something together, even just for like one song, I think that would be like...
It would be fire because like Q...
That would be on some old school Strangeland shit.
I've followed Q shit for a while, and one big thing is that his production fell off. Probably because he just stuck with the same producers that he knows or whatever, but like...
Okay.
You know, like the beats were not as fire, you know, and like that's why...
Product of the time at that point.
It really was. Although there was some shit that was released recently where it's like Apathy, Slain, and fucking Q Strange, and it's
shit.
Fucking nasty.
Oh my god! Because what else is it gonna be?
Yeah, you know, like so and that production was good, but even then it was like listening to it now, it's like it would have slammed in 2009. You know what I mean? Like. And that's coming from me, who is a 2009
You want to know what? How's this?
But like,
you want to talk about a completely...
Zool and Q Strange?
How's this? No, I get... No,
Well,
no, that would be awesome, but I actually made up my mind. The Dream collab, and it's purely hypothetical because it could never happen now because one of them died. Zool and LU Cypher.
That would be tight.
LU Cypher was so fucking underrated, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
them was
Rots
Kill
from,
Fuck.
Carcass was huge on that. I think he actually knows the dude that survived. My thing is this.
Shout out to Kill Fuck.
Oh yeah, love those guys. My thing is that I liked LU Cypher, but not to the point where I listened to a ton of their shit. I was just kind of more aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know
just
one
like,
song by those
but no,
guys,
they were like just super, super wicked, and like the beats were always like everything that I heard was. Just so fucking on point. I think it was Low Key was the one who kind of put me onto LU Cypher when they were still... Because they right there, LU Cypher, that is triple fucking OG, original horrorcore right there. Like LU Cypher was, I'm pretty sure, 90s music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which at that point, in 2020... means you were OG.
Oh, fuck.
You know what I'm saying?
It's 30 years ago.
Especially for horrorcore.
Yeah.
Because horrorcore was really not at that level for such a long time. It was just horrorcore got lumped in with the rest of rap, which was already radical in and of itself at the time.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that listening to Dr. Octagon because, like, so many people coined that as horrorcore. Like, I don't know if you know that. Like,
Well,
people
no, you
do
want to
that,
know
and
what?
It's like, no, it's not really like
Hard-
in what people would define as horrorcore now. But
Well,
in
oh no, you're oh no.
96, it was
One of the funny
like
thing is
Cool Keith and Gravediggers are horrorcore.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
That was the ones that I was gonna say where Def Jam tried to say that they pioneered the term horrorcore when releasing the Gravediggers, which obviously at the time for what they did with it, the problem is people don't want to talk about this, but the fact is that early on with hip hop, the early fucking like adopters of it were the black community because they were part of it, and then the fringe white community. Like the white people
punk scene, man.
But
Like,
no, true indeed. But the whole idea here is that white people didn't really get down on it early on, and it's the same thing that they tried to tell Tech Nine, which they were obviously wrong. Like FTI was all about, your hair is so not black. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So the whole idea there is that when you make a song and in your video you got black dudes rapping, fucking hanging from a noose and in a grave, the fucking black community was like, demon, be gone. And so that shit never took. And think about it. I didn't even realize this because I fucked with the Gravediggers with some of their songs, but I never super got down on their shit. That was the RZA. You know what I'm saying?
No shit.
So yeah, but that's my point. The fact that having done that, and then the Wu-Tang was way bigger back then. Assumably, you could think, although maybe not necessarily, considering the fucking one album got sold for $1 million and whatever.
No, Wu-Tang was ruling the world, and I feel like Gravediggers was like a passion project, pretty much to show like RZA.
Well,
being, like,
RZA has always
you know,
been very like, I want to do a bunch of crazy shit, and I love him for it.
RZA's who I know like out of all the Wu-Tang.
Oh yeah, he's
shit,
done the most for sure.
Bob, and like as far as like a body of work, that's who I'm more familiar with. Like I know the Bobby Digital albums and shit. Like I know 36 Chambers and
they
shit,
had a lot to do with. I remember reading a thing about in High Times with them smoking pot, where they were super early adopters. Obviously, where just hood shit. We smoke weed. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But like, no, I will definitely say that dream collaboration for sure would be
Zool
and LU Cypher, just because I know that would be fucking.
Oh, Q Strange,
fire.
you're out in the
But
cold still, buddy.
Well,
Sorry.
but you want to know what? Here's the thing. How's that for? Because no one said I couldn't do more than one, but fucking dream or hypothetical collab that actually maybe could happen. That's Zool and Q Strange all day, because Q's still out there. He's apparently, if I'm hearing correctly, trying to have a resurgence, which would be great.
Well, that's a whole other podcast.
No, fair enough.
He's
Again,
not the people who own the license to his music. Imagine if
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
I could only imagine. But
Imagine
I will
that
also
you want
say
to be done. You want to be done with it, but somebody you fucked up and sold your fucking.
But he does. I mean, that does still mean that potentially, if he felt like it, he could.
Yeah, he
make
could.
A song. So, because again,
Except the
Zool
people
is...
that own his likeness would make the money, not him.
Oh, that's harsh.
That's
well, yeah, no,
that's
you will
old
have
school
to.
music
No,
industry.
you will have to tell me about.
We should do
that.
a whole episode probably.
Well, no, okay, you want to know what?
But
well,
like,
because
it
again,
is
I don't
wild,
know.
especially.
I do at least want to. Hey,
I'd love to get that dude on an interview.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ! Well, you want to know what? That is definitely somebody who we can look into. It's not like we don't know people that know him.
Oh yeah, he's fucking.
And not to mention, definitely want to start to really branch out. Like, I'd love to get Scum on here and Sane Poetry on here. Maybe even get the dudes from Zool. I had another thought of somebody who I wanted to get, but now fucking my brain won't let me remember him, so hopefully it'll come back to me. But speaking of interviews, next thing coming up before a little commercial break, whatever the fuck that's gonna mean. I don't give a fuck. I'll make a fake commercial, or I'll get somebody to
How
give
would
me
we do
money.
a nice segue and say what's going to happen next? Who have you been communing with a lot, and through a way of you being a pothead underground rapper? Who did you meet online, and now we're doing an interview with, motherfucker?
Well, so that would be Carrie Means of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He was the voice behind Frylock, also the voice of Thundercleese from the Brack Show. Highly underrated show, in my opinion. But with that being said, I've been a fan of this dude for years and years and years. I mean, Aqua Teen came out during my formative years, basically. And at that point, Frylock and the rest of them were characters that I basically grew up into adulthood with. And Carrie Means, as far as I'm concerned, was one of the really central characters of that show, because Frylock always kind of existed as the voice of reason. There were episodes when he was absolutely fucking batshit crazy, but it was Aqua Teen. What are you gonna do?
Bro,
Either
came
way,
out in 2000 is the first season.
2000.
The year
But
2000.
are you kidding me? Aqua Teen predates 9/11.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, to me, the world became very different right around that time. And frankly, to me, Aqua Teen was one of the first adult animation shows to really bridge the gap and get adults to start watching cartoons like that, alongside Space Ghost, of course, because that was where Aqua Teen came from. But with that said, just Carrie was always like, you know, a very ubiquitous voice that you always recognize watching the show. I mean, all three really had very ubiquitous voices, but at the same time, I'm just excited. So I'm saying, you know, lots of craziness because I'm excited for this. But he was definitely one of my favorites for a very long time, and I look forward to getting some candid information from him about, you know, his come up, so to speak. So yeah, without further ado, we have the interview with Carrie Means coming at you.